Are you overwhelmed by the convoluted HDB resale procedures and worried that if you did not manage the timeline properly, you can get into serious trouble with fund flow? Or worse, ended up with no place to stay? Stay tuned to quickly understand the 10 key milestones of a HDB transaction. And at the end, I will share a few important buying and selling timeline charts that agents swear by. Hi everyone, I'm Khai from Propedia. This channel is created to share in-depth research for projects all across Singapore. There are 10 key milestones for a HDB resale transaction, and once you follow the steps accordingly, it is very difficult for anything to go wrong. Milestone 1. Register intent to sell and intent to buy for seller and buyer respectively. Milestone 2. Mode of financing. Decide if you are financing the loan with a HDB or bank loan. Do note that the buyer needs a valid home loan eligibility letter before the seller can grant an option to purchase, or known as an OTP. Whereas for a bank loan, the buyer only needs a valid letter of offer from the bank before exercising the OTP. Milestone 3. The option to purchase. Do take note that the mode of acceptance under HDB OTP Clause 6, the buyer needs to deliver the assigned option to the seller, not to the seller's agent. If you want to deliver the option to the agent, it is safer to make sure that the seller signs the authorization for the agent to collect the OTP. If not, the seller might be able to say that the buyer did not exercise as per the contract and keep the option fee and abort the sale. Many people think that the buyer will keep the OTP after exercising, but this is not the proper way. We should always follow the contract. Milestone 4. Request for value by buyer. Note that the valuation validity is only 3 months. Milestone 5. Submit resale application for buyer and seller. Make sure relevant documents, if any, like overseas marriage cert and childbirth cert are ready. For special cases, divorce document, power of attorney, lasting power of attorney, grant of probate, and letter of administrations, etc. are required. Milestone 6. Once HDB accepts the application, buyers and sellers need to endorse the resale documents. Milestone 7. HDB will calculate all the relevant fees to be paid by the buyer and seller. If private solicitor is engaged, there is no need for you to make payment at this stage. Milestone 8. Once HDB verifies the buyer and seller documents, they will approve the application if everything is in order. Milestone 9 is the resale completion appointment date. Before this, the seller needs to rectify any unauthorized works in the house, and both need to pay the relevant fees and tax for the flat. Milestone 10. Temporary extension of stay. Sometimes, sellers need more time in the units after completion because the next house is not ready. So, this can be an option. Note that the buyer needs to have committed to buy a completed property for HDB to approve this extension. It is important to understand the timeline of withdrawal and refund of HDB monies so that there is no problem with your fund flow. This is a summary of the standard HDB resale timeline. This is simple, but when you add in both selling and buying at the same time, it becomes complicated, and there are a few options you can use. Example, enhanced contra facilities where both buying and selling progress at the same time. Buy and sell using HDB solicitor. This is not really recommended unless you are really short of funds, because even with extension of stay, there is very short time to renovate and move house. Buy and sell using private solicitor. This allows for more time to move and maybe to do minor renovations. Buy and sell with bridging loan, which is used by many if they do not want to be so stressed out with the timeline, and this allows for more timeline flexibility and more time for renovation and moving house, especially with the extension of stay. Also, it is important to note that during negotiation of your purchase price, additional requests like extension of stay might put you in an unfavorable bargaining position if you did not broach the subject in a smart manner. If you are looking to sell HDB and buy EC or private, you can get another timeline from me, FOC. Please study the procedures and timelines carefully before making your move, as I have seen many cases where the financial calculation is done wrongly, or the fund flow is not planned properly, and there is shortage of fund, and the buyers end up with a lot of unnecessary stress. If you need to find out more on HDB resale procedures, timeline planning, and financial calculations to avoid getting into stressful situations, feel free to contact me for a friendly chat over coffee. Once again, I'm Khai. See you soon.